Today we're going to start the can label project. I'm going to get you started on this. I'm going to get you set up with the proper size and also go over the requirements for the project. But on our next tutorial, we're going to learn a little bit about the principles of graphic design and also a little bit about color theory. Without those things, your can label could turn out to be a disaster. When you're starting with a blank slate, you really need to have some knowledge about what makes a design good design. And so you'll need to know what things to look for and what things to avoid. All right, so let's look at a couple of examples that were not as successful. This one, just a couple things. You'll notice you've got this image in the front and it's not aligned very well with the title at all. In fact, part of it is going over the title. Now the title has this nice curve to it, but it's a little bit too distorted. It's okay to curve your title in certain circumstances, but just don't overdo it. We also have a lot going on in this background. It's pretty busy and I'm not sure what's going on along the bottom here. And it's just hard to see everything because of the busy background. The barcode is difficult to see too because it's on top of this busy background. This might have been better with a white block behind it. Let's look at another one. In this example, it's not clear where the front of the can is. There's a lot of donuts on this label, but I'm not sure where the front is. So if we glued this onto an actual can, I'm assuming this is the front because we've got a title donuts in a can, but then look at the image that you're going to see. You're going to see part of this line coming through here, and then you've got another line of donuts here. The ingredients are really close to that title, too close. And the nutrition facts are absolutely unreadable. You just can't read them because they're on this dark background. So those would all be unsuccessful examples of a can label. So you'll notice that I have these guidelines set up on my can label, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So I have the can cut up into thirds basically. Ignore this one right here. So this line right here and this line right here divides my can label into thirds, and my title or the front of the can, whatever is going to appear on when it's sitting on the store shelf, should be in this third of the can. And then you have these other thirds that are going to wrap around to the back where you would put extra stuff like nutrition facts, ingredients, the barcode, etc. I also in this front part of the can have the net weight of the contents of the can, and that is always seen in that front third of the can. And so we want to make this a realistic can label. So some of the requirements you will need for your can label are you will need a barcode. You're going to need ingredients. You'll need nutrition facts, and we have a website that we can use where you can create a nutrition facts label if you want to, where you punch in the values and it'll create it for you. Or you can find one online as long as it's a high quality image and just copy and paste it in. You'll need net weight. You'll also need a stamp pattern, which is what you see across the bottom here, and I'm going to show you a very specific way on how to do that stamp pattern. So don't get ahead of your tutorials on that one. You'll need a title, and you'll need a main image, which is going to appear right in the center of that front third of your can. Now you'll notice in this design, the background is a nice light color and creates a nice contrast with everything else that's on it. It's not hard to read anything. It's not difficult to see anything. And so these are things you need to think about. So let's get started with this. You'll go to File, New, and you have two options on this. I'm going to give you the size for a standard old-fashioned Campbell soup can, and you can use that size if you want to, but let's say you're deciding that you're going to print this out and you want to actually glue it on a can that you have at home and it's a different size than what I'm giving you. you can actually measure that. So you'll need to measure the height of the can, and you'll also need to measure the circumference of the can. And after you measure the circumference, you want to add 3/4 of an inch to that for the part that's going to glue over. So it can't be the exact circumference. You have to leave a little flap there to glue over, and I'm recommending 3/4 of an inch. If you have a can and you want to bring it in, I can help you with that measurement. I have a tape measure in the classroom and we can measure that together. So just let me know if you want help with that. For the Campbell soup can, let's start by getting our name on this so we don't forget that important step. So type in your last name and then your first name and then can label. And I'm just going to put a 2 on mine since I already have one of these and I don't want to overwrite it. So I'll put a 2 on there. Now, the width that we're going to be using is 9 inches, and that includes that 3/4 of an inch that I talked about for the flap that glues over. And the height is 3 5/8 inches. And if I convert that to decimal, it's 3.625 inches. We're going to leave the resolution at 300 and color mode RGB color and create. Okay, so there's my can label. Now we're going to put some guidelines on here like I talked about. And since this is 9 inches wide, I need to put it at 6 inches and 3 inches, and that will divide my label into 3 equal parts. So to do that, well, first of all, your rulers should be showing. So if your rulers aren't showing, go to View and make sure Rulers is on. Then once your rulers are moving, go up to your Move tool and then move your cursor right over to that ruler on the left-hand side and grab and move a guideline out. And we're going to drop it right at 6 inches. And we're going to do that again. And we're dropping this one at 3 inches. Okay, perfect. So I'm divided into 3 equal parts. My front of the can is going to be in this center 1/3. And then I'll put my other extra stuff that wraps around to the back of the can in the other 2 spaces. Now I do need to keep in mind that I'm going to have that flap that I glue over, and I don't want any really important information, whether it's text or part of an image that I want showing in that space, because it will get covered. So what I want to do is pull another guideline, and I'm going to go to 3/4 of an inch. Right there, and drop that. So I know that I can't have anything really important in this space, otherwise it will get covered by this side of my label. If I go back to the completed version, you can see I have some image in here, but the barcode is not in there and the puppies are not in there. So if part of the heart gets covered up, or these hearts, I'm okay with that. Just know really important data is being covered up. The next time your tutorial is going to be on the principles of graphic design, and so you'll be learning about that as you're creating your can label. You're also going to learn a little bit about color theory, so you can start thinking about what kind of a color scheme you want to use for this. And in the meantime, you have the information you need to set up your file and start thinking about what you want to have in your can. It doesn't have to be something that you would typically see in a store. It doesn't have to be tomato soup or green beans. It can be that, but it doesn't have to be. Most students like to go with something kind of fun and crazy and something you wouldn't normally see in a can. And it's a fun project because we make it look like an actual can. So if we were to print that and glue it onto a can, it's just kind of a fun little gag thing that you can share with people. So that's going to be it for today. Let me know if you have any questions, and I will be around to help you.